We welcome legendary best-selling author Frederick Forsyth into the studio. And look, we've seen a growing literary trend of sensitivity reading take hold this year, with celebrated classics including Roald Dahl's children's stories and even Ian Fleming's James Bond thrillers being chopped up and rewritten by woke publishers terrified of offending modern readers. But one of the world's most famous authors has hit back, with Salman Rushdie making an impassioned plea at the British Book Awards just 9 months after he was viciously attacked by an anti-free speech lunatic at a US literary event, having spent 33 years living in the shadow of a religious fatwa issued against him after penning the controversial novel The Satanic Verses. So this is what Salman Rushdie had to say.
Hello, everybody. Hello from New York. I'm glad to be able to join you in this way. I have to say it's also been alarming to see publishers looking to, how shall I put this, Baudelarize the work of such people as Roald Dahl and Ian Fleming. I have to say the idea that James Bond could be made politically correct is almost comical. I think that has to be resisted. Books have to come to us from their time and be of their time. And if that's difficult to take, don't read it. Read another book.
Well, I'm honoured to be joined live in the studio tonight by former RAF pilot and the legendary best-selling author of more than 70 million books worldwide, including The Day of the Jackal, of course, Frederick Forsyth CBE. So, Frederick, great to see you here tonight, but there is a real crisis in the literary world, isn't there, when it comes to censorship. Do you agree with Salman Rushdie that Roald Dahl books and James Bond books should just be left alone?
Yes, I do. If you start rewriting books, well, where do you stop? You can go back to the Bible. There's a lot of stuff, and that's a very, very non-PC. You could certainly gouge Shakespeare. It's been done once by Baudelaire. Yes. You could do it again, because there's a lot of stuff in Shakespeare that really isn't very politically correct nowadays. I don't know where you stop, and so I take the view that no, it was written as it was written. At the time, it wasn't exceptional. Ages change, times pass, moods change, and it should be left alone.
Do you know how it works as an author? For example, in many decades' time, when you're no longer with us, can a sensitivity reader come in and change your words in The Day of the Jackal, for example? Or can you put something in your contract that says, no, I don't want my work edited posthumously?
Well, I've never had to do that. I mean, I have had contracts with the publishers, but I don't think either of us ever thought this need to do it. So, to my knowledge, it's not in any contract I've ever signed that you mustn't change the text because it may become unfashionable in due course. I don't think that's ever been written.
Yeah, I guess it's a risk that people probably didn't think would happen, because I imagine, don't know if you knew him, but Roald Dahl wouldn't be happy with this, would he? He slaved over every word in his books.
Yes, well, his stuff's legendary now, and J.K. Rowling is another one who's had stick, if you like, for speaking her mind,
to say the least.
Now Roald Dahl, Salman Rushdie, the same, on a different subject, not female feminism, but something else. But basically, the principle is there, and it was expressed by a Frenchman many, many years ago. And he said, "I disagree with everything you say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it." And I believe that he got it right then, nearly 200 years ago. And it hasn't been bettered ever since. Yes, I would fight for Salman's or J.K. Rowling's right to say what they said. Unless, three things: I don't think state secrets should be published.
Yeah.
I don't think blatant blasphemy should be published. And I don't think that blatant pornography for children should be published.
No.
Those three no-nos, I would say, on one side. The rest, you may disagree with it, but he or she has the right to publish it.
What do you make of what's happened to J.K. Rowling? Because she was a hero of the liberal left. But simply because she believes in biological sex, she believes that women should have a right to single-sex spaces and that people who change gender should not be allowed into those spaces. a lot of, shall we call them the woke brigade, have started to boycott her and even boycott Harry Potter.
Indeed, and the very actors and actresses who were, well, children and zero, and who became stars on her work, on the back of her work.
So disloyal of them, isn't it?
Turn and said, you know, this is...
Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson.
I mean, I have no time for them. She wrote what she wrote. It was hugely successful. I mean, and rightly so. And she's become a legend and probably the wealthiest authoress we've ever produced in this country, or author.
So she's uncancelable. I guess there are certain books that can't be cancelled. The Day of the Jackal would be in that category.
Well, I don't know, but I can't think that there's... I mean, that was about an assassin, and I can't think what's so politically non-correct about...
So you haven't had any complaints? Because obviously, Day of the Jackal was written in the 70s, is that right?
Jackal was written in 1970,
yeah. 1970. So have you had folk come to you and say, actually, that's a bit inappropriate, or can we update that?
No, because
Not yet.
There's nothing about sex in it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a passage that refers to sex at all, or sexuality. Unless you want to start quibbling the calibre of rifles, I don't think, so far, the calibre of rifles hasn't... And the French security arrangements around Charles de Gaulle's person at the time are not really challengeable. I don't think they are.
Yeah. But when you look at all of this, do you become concerned that freedom of speech is under attack in the West?
Oh, yes. Wokeism is a form of dictatorship. I dislike dictatorship. I've lived under two abroad and visited several others. They're very disagreeable places to be. They're ruled by the secret police, and the wokeism is like a sort of artistic secret police, and I dislike it for that reason. It says, as all dictators do, two things. One is, I am right and everyone else is wrong. And B, if you attempt to express your view, you'll be punished. That is a hallmark of a dictator. It's the hallmark of wokeism.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Wokeism, a form of dictatorship. Very, very well put. Frederick Forsyth, an absolute pleasure to have you. Now a freedom of speech champion as well as one of our most legendary authors.